J. Clement Vaz compiled biographies of Goan men, but he makes limited mention of women. Years later, the Goa Sudarok Community Development, a California-based organization, produced a Goan women's e-book. It provides short biographies of women involved in various activities. Portuguese historian and writer Filipa Vicente has analyzed the work of some Portuguese-speaking Goan women writers and others in the latest stage of colonial Goa, 1860 to 1940. The award-winning Portuguese anthropologist Rosa Maria Perez is in the process of finalizing her work on the involvement of women in Goa's independence movement. One important factor that Fatima underlines is that this work is not exhaustive. Some Goan women who have made their mark in these mentioned areas could not be included due to constraints of space. She says her inability to collect sufficient material due to the ongoing pandemic, and in some other cases, a lack of easily available information. The work, Fatima underlines, needs to be continued. And she says, I hope someone will compile more profiles in the areas covered here. And I will just read the few lines at the end of the introduction that says, this work is a tribute to my loving mother. The photograph at the beginning of this work was taken by my father, says Fatima, who loved to capture happy moments for us, usually outdoors, on his US-made Eastman Kodak camera. These photographs needed film rolls that would take time to be processed, sometimes even up to 6 months, before small photos could be revealed in a studio. We waited eagerly to see the results. Likewise, she says, the story of women's attainments in Goa has taken its time to be told. One hopes this trend would change soon enough. Thank you for your patience.
Fatima, tell us something about yourself. It's always good to know the person behind the author.
What should I say? I've been a researcher. I was a teacher. I retired some years ago. I'm a wife, housewife, and a mother.
One thing that bothers most women when they think about writing, especially writing about themselves, Jerry is not here. He's always telling me, write your memoirs, write your memoirs. But it's so difficult to set out that time and the space and not to be disrupted by the demands made on you as a mother, grandmother, and also your profession. So how do you, or how did you find time? How would you let aspiring women writers to allocate their time?
You have to make time, during the holidays and after your working hours. Most of the time I have worked at night, late hours or early morning. So that is the time when I kept myself occupied with this book.
Somebody has to also write about you. Who do you think would be the best person to write about you?
No, I don't want anyone to.
You know what happens mostly is we write about other people. In journalism, we are writing about everybody's, malaise, ailment, and their aspirations and their longings, but we forget to write about ourselves. You'll never find journalists walking out in the streets to protest about anything. We only cover protests. So that's why I'm saying somebody in this room or outside it has to capture her life and story as well.
I don't think so.
Uh, I think that's all I have to ask. Maybe we could allow the audience
To follow up on what you've just said, I believe one of the ladies who is featured in the book is very happy that she has been recognized. She's a big person and she's done a great deal of work in the field of journalism, exceptionally great, and hardly acknowledged. So she's happy that somebody has taken the trouble to give her some visibility. Fatima, perhaps you would like to tell us which are the various categories of people that you have selected and why so?
As I've said in the book, I've been collecting information about women for a very long time. And so for last 30, 35 years, here and there, I have a lot of information with me. And then during the pandemic also, I kept myself occupied and collecting more material. I didn't want to do anything with politics because that involved going to a library, looking at the newspapers and all that. So that was out. Then I decided that I would do something about women and writing. And women who wrote in Portuguese, women who wrote in English and Konkani. Of course, there are also women who have written in Marathi. But I don't read Marathi, neither I read Konkani Devanagari. So these areas were out. So I selected that lot. I just started it. I never thought, how it is. Then I decided to do something women and medicine. After women and medicine, I thought I would write about women and the UN because I have a friend who is involved with the UNO for many, many years. And that's how I started collecting information about them. And I had presented a paper in Expo once in France 3 years ago, and that was Women and Art. Women in music, singing, both Western and Hindustani. And so I already had something about them. So I collected that material, and of course I corresponded with various people, with the people whose profile I have written, and also collected information from them. Now the work is written in two formats. In first person, where the person concerned writes about herself, and also in some cases I use a collected material.
One of the chapters has something on Lata Mangeshkar.
Yes.
Did you speak to her or no?
No.
Okay.
It's all whatever was available, books and newspapers and magazines and the internet.
I was also a little surprised that we don't have women in politics here.
No, deliberately I kept it apart.
But I would like to know how participative are women in the politics of the state?
How participating they are? Yeah. I think women do participate in politics.
By participate, I mean
But
contest.
in the assembly we only have 40, among the 40 seats, this we have only 3 ladies who are members, and that also because their husbands were already in politics. But on their own, we don't have many women.
Because in the last elections, I was watching very keenly the election trail of media persons, and all that they could find were men. They were following men all the way.
Yeah.
I didn't see the face or profile of a single woman aspirant.
Yeah. See, right now we have 3 women in the assembly, 2 women, their husband, all 3, I think, no? Yeah, all 3 women have husbands who are politicians.
Okay, so that means it's the same across this country.
Yeah.
Women are still very subdued behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They either have to be supporting their husbands or their brothers
Or their fathers.
So I think maybe in your next section you could perhaps right, so that you inspire all of us. Right, something about women who do have fire in their belly to enter politics, but for reasons beyond their control, they're not able to be out there.
Thank you.
Can I take a question from the audience?
I just wanted to highlight the fact that women have written in a whole lot of languages. Maybe Fatma can throw some light on the number of languages that Goan women have written about.
Yes, women have written in, to begin with, in Konkani, Portuguese, that was the official language until 1961. They have written in English, Marathi, in Hindi, I think a few in Hindi. Then in Spanish, Esperanto, Catalan, and some others. Yeah, French, yes. So a variety of languages.
Yes, anybody would like to ask?
Yes. One second.
Yeah. Good morning. Just a clarification about women in politics, because you said in Meghalaya you have no right at all. But here, at the grassroots level, at a panchayat and even at the other level, they have a reservation for women. So there is a reservation for seats you can contest, and there is a reservation for being the sarpanch, the head of each institution. And sometimes she may just be a dummy also as the head, because there was one village where there were 5 candidates, and the men were not ready to vote for her. And that post lied vacant. There was no sarpanch there. And unfortunately, even the women didn't want to vote for her. So that reservation is there at that level, at a lower level, but not at the assembly or parliament. Assembly, there's no reservation. They don't want to give that 33%. No party wants to give it. Thank you.
I just want to clarify here that when the Panchayati Raj Act came into being, it was implemented across India with the exception of Meghalaya, Nagaland, and Mizoram. I do not know what kind of research the people at that time had during Rajiv Gandhi's time, which made them exempt these 3 tribal states on the plea that they already have traditional institutions, working traditional institutions, and therefore they didn't need the Panchayati Raj. I think that is the problem here, because in the PRI institutions, whatever it is, you have the reservations. Women can come in. If they don't contest, that's a different matter, but at least they have that privilege to come in. 33% of them can contest. So in Meghalaya, we have 60 seats and only 4 women. And these women are, of course, wives, daughters of politicians.
Would anyone like to ask Fatima a question?
Thank you so much for that. I would like to add one. This is a beautiful way to begin because we remember the pandemic a lot. And really, Fatima, you are an inspiration for doing what you did, because certainly, I mean, it's an amazing thing, and I know that's I'm going to be referring to it a lot. I want to tell you quick little pandemic times. I promised Kong Pat that I would introduce her to the right people. Last year during pandemic, when it just started to open up a little bit, I went with Vashkit to the Purament Bazaar, which is taking place right now in Panjab. When I was walking by, I thought of Kong Pat. Kong Pat was, because in Meghalaya, dried fish is also a big thing. Said, please, that looks amazing. Like her reaction, she was in kind of lockdown, we were in kind of lockdown. So I said, Kong Pat, I'm going to get you some. So I bought some, with Vashkit's help, some of the best, and we put it in a parcel and mailed it to her reserved. But on the way, so great anticipation on my side, great anticipation on her side. It arrived, opened, and some disgraceful person had stolen the purament from between here and there. And now when she came back at this time, all the way from Shillong, I promised her, Kong Pat, this time I will give you will find purament. But I'm quite, actually this is an overwhelming festival. Please, ladies, can you please ensure that Kongpat, someone takes her to see what Purament is at its best? Because today I was walking by in Panjab and it looks lovely, smells
Today is a
lovely.
feast.
Yeah, beautiful.
Today is
Please,
a
someone, please escort Patricia Mukim. Thank you so much for that event. Thank you so much, Kongpat. Thank you, Fatima. Big hand, please. Thank you. Please keep your seats for the, you please proceed. Yes, go
I
ahead.
think it's very, very important to place on record this amazing gentleman, Vivek Menezes, who has put this together. It's not an easy task at all. I know we had the Cherry Blossom Festival in Meghalaya, and it was assisted heavily by the government. I don't know how much government assistance is here. And I know that there was a retinue of people doing all kinds of work, putting the festival together. But here I see Vivek just going out of his way to bring us from such a distance to this place. Thank you very much, and thank you, people of Goa. Thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you so much. The fact that we can have this event means the event's a success, right? I can't get better than this from me. Please, big hand again. Please keep your, yes. I would like you to please pay one note. The next session is with a gentleman who's we are looking at community. This is a community curation, right? And this is a community event. And the next event is someone who's new to our community in a way, though he has now become a force in Isabel's native Aldona. He made a beautiful logo. His name is Ayaz Basrai. He's a very interesting man who's taken a bus ride from Bandra, and that'll start in 5 minutes. Please do come and stay for that as well. Big hand.